Hello. Today I will be presenting about the Canon Yeoman's tale. This tale, written between 1387 and 1400, offers a scathing critique of alchemy and deception in medieval England, and it reveals Chaucer's remarkable understanding of both human nature and medieval science. What makes this tale particularly unique is that Canon and his yeoman don't appear in the general prologue, where Chaucer introduces most of the other pilgrims. Instead, they dramatically arrive late to the pilgrimage, riding up on exhausted horses, both drenched in sweat. This theatrical entrance immediately sets them apart. It signals that something unusual is about to unfold. To understand this tale, we need to know a bit about medieval alchemy. Alchemy was a precursor to modern chemistry, but during Chaucer's time, it was considered both a legitimate science and a haven for fraudsters. Alchemists sought the legendary Philosopher's Stone, which they believed could transform base metals like lead into gold. As you might imagine, this pursuit attracted both genuine scholars and countless con artists. The arrival scene is carefully crafted by Chaucer. The text tells us that their horses were so wet with sweat they could barely move. The yeoman explains they saw the pilgrims leaving and rushed to catch up because his master loves good company. But there's something ominous about this scene. The significance lies in the symbolism. The canon is dressed entirely in black, with just a glimpse of white underneath, suggesting concealment and hidden motives. The yeoman's face is red, flushed from exertion. These colors contrast black and red, echo the alchemic process of transformation. Even their physical state suggests that they are undergoing some kind of change or revelation. The arrival also disrupts the second nun's holy tale about St. Cecilia. This interruption of a sacred narrative with stories of fraud and deception creates a powerful juxtaposition that Chaucer uses to heighten his critique. The tale itself is divided into two distinct parts. Part 1 is deeply personal. It's the yeoman's own confession. He reveals that he's worked with Canon for 7 years, chasing the dream of creating gold through alchemy. But instead of wealth, he's lost everything. His clothes are tattered, he's so poor he wears his stockings as a cap, and most disturbingly, his face is turned gray, the color of lead. This isn't just a metaphor. The yeoman is actually suffering from lead poisoning, a real consequence of working with toxic alchemic materials. Part 2 shifts to tell a story about a different Canon, though the yeoman insists it's not his master. The second Canon is an outright fraudster who tricks a London priest not once, not twice, but 3 times, ultimately selling him fake alchemic secrets for the enormous sum of £40 before disappearing forever. The emotional heart of this tale is a yeoman's confession. With this Canon I have dwelt 7 years, and of his science am I never the nearer. All that I have lost thereby, and God knows, so have many more than I. This isn't just about losing money, it's about the complete destruction of a person. The yeoman describes his physical degradation. Lead poisoning has turned his face gray, marking him permanently. He must wear his stockings as a cap because he can't afford proper headwear. He is in such debt that he can never hope to repay it, no matter how long he lives. But there's also a moral dimension to his suffering. He realizes that he's been pursuing something futile, perhaps even sinful. When the canon hears his servants beginning to expose their secrets, he tries to silence them, but the yeoman continues speaking. Finally, the canon can't bear the shame and simply flees, riding away from the pilgrimage. This abandonment frees the yeoman to tell the truth. Now, what's remarkable about this tale is Chaucer's technical accuracy in describing alchemic processes. He lists the actual equipment, the anther furnaces used for heating, crucibles for melting metals, alembics for distillation, and curabits, round vessels named after gourds. He mentions the real materials, quicksilver, which is mercury, along with arsenic, brimstone, various metals, chalks, and powders. The yeoman describes a typical experiment. They carefully prepare their materials, heat them in a furnace. Everything seems to be going well, and then disaster. The pot breaks during the heating process, scattering their expensive materials everywhere. They argue about who's to blame, but ultimately they've lost everything. This repeated failure becomes a metaphor for the entire alchemic enterprise. Chaucer calls alchemy the sliding science, which is a perfect description. Nothing is stable, nothing is what it seems, substances slip and transform, and in the end, the alchemists themselves are transformed, but into broke, poisonous shells of their former selves, not into wealthy men. The story of the fraudulent Canon demonstrates just how sophisticated these medieval con artists could be. His first trick involves quicksilver, mercury. He secretly hollows out a piece of coal and hides silver in it. When he heats the quicksilver with a special coal, the hidden silver melts out, and the priest believes he's witnessing transmutation. The second deception is even more clever. The Canon stirs the pot with a wooden stick that he secretly coated with silver fillings. As he stirs, the silver melts off the stick and appears in the mixture. Again, the priest is convinced he's seen base materials transformed into precious metals. The third trick uses pure sleight of hand. The Canon uses misdirection to substitute a real silver ingot for the materials they're supposed to be transforming. Each time the priest becomes more convinced of the Canon's power. Finally, consumed by greed, the priest offers to buy the secret recipe. The Canon initially refuses, which only makes the priest more desperate. Eventually, the Canon agrees to sell the secret for 40 pounds, an enormous sum in medieval times. Of course, the moment he has the money, the Canon vanishes, never to be seen again. Chaucer weaves several major themes through this tale. First, there's deception and truth. Everything in alchemy is about transformation, but not the kind that alchemists claim. Substances don't really change. It's all tricks and misdirection. Even identities shift. We're never quite sure if the second Canon is really different from the first, if the Yeoman is disguising his own master's crimes. Second, there's the theme of intellectual pride versus faith. Medieval theology taught that God's secrets weren't meant for mortals to unlock. The alchemist's sin isn't just fraud, it's hubris, the prideful belief that through human cleverness they can achieve what God has forbidden. The tale warns against substituting human reason for faith. The third is greed and its consequences. Both the alchemist and their victims are driven by the desire for gold. The priest, but he's still ruined. The ambiguous ending reflects that reality, that fraud often goes unpunished, and victims rarely recover what they've lost. It's a surprising modern touch in a medieval work. The tale's influence extends beyond Chaucer's time. In 1610, the playwright Ben Jonson wrote The Alchemist, a comedy about fraudulent alchemists that bear many similarities to Chaucer's tale, showing how these themes remain relevant even centuries later. And then here's my works cited page. Obviously, I got this stuff from Harvard. I also looked this stuff from Wikipedia, and all of my photos are from Wikimedia, and most of them are from the actual category tales or paintings about them. Okay, thank you. This was my presentation about the Canon Yeoman's tale.